Okay, so before taking this into DOPS and into cloth, let's just clean up the geometry a little bit. For instance, if we look at it, there's a lot of groups still there, and at the moment we might not want those groups. So let's just say group, add this in there, and I'm just going to delete the groups. I don't want new groups. I'm just going to say edit, delete, and I'm just going to say all groups, little star, and this will just be group delete. So now as you look at it, there are no groups anymore. The other thing that I might want to do as well is just change the color to something more eagle, something more the same, something maybe a bit dark, so we'll be able to distinguish the fractions. Okay, so from there I'm going to add a null, and this is a null that I'll be referencing, so I can say null, or rather maybe to DOPS and cloth. That's the idea with this null. Okay, so let's turn this into a little cloth object. So let's quickly, I'm just going to call this one geo fracture. One of the things that I might do is separate this out, since I'll be showing you different examples, and this is sort of the base geometry. I'll create a new geometry object, right, and let's call this one geo cloth pieces, right. Let's go inside and let's just create an object merge. So we're gonna get that that geometry. So inside of the object, inside of the object merge rather, I'm going to look for that 2dops cloth, take that one, accept it. Okay, so now I've got that geometry in there, so I can just say this one, bring up your shelf, we can just use our shelf for it. Inside of cloth we can make this into a cloth object as such, and it's gonna loop through and does everything. Unfortunately should have done that at frame 0. It doesn't take that long. I mean, it's not really going to do anything really. There's no forces or nothing, so I'm just gonna cancel this. Let's have a look. So what it did, it added a DOP import, so it's gonna link it and get the dynamic information, and it created a new AutoDOP network, right? And if I dive inside there, then you can see there's the cloth pieces that are imported, there's a solver, and basically there's a force, which is gravity. Now if I just apply gravity, it's just going to keep falling down, and maybe that's not really what I want at this point. I just want to blow it away and blow it up. So let's put a different force in there. So let's just say I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna add a fan. So somewhere over there. Let's get rid of this solver for a second. Okay, so this fan, I'm gonna position it. There's my little fan. I'm gonna position it so that it's sort of pointing upwards, so the direction needs to change, right? So it's pointing upwards. I'm gonna put it underneath it, my settings, right? So if I put it like this and it's gonna blow away, then kind of see sort of pointing upwards. Anyway, I'm going to put in a little expression there, something like the cosine, and these are just values that I've used in the past which work with this sort of geometry. It's just as an example to show, you don't really need a lot. So basically it's just the cosine of $FF, so it'll start in one of the corners, it's sped up a little bit, the frequency is changed, and then times 5 the amplitude is changed, so it'll go between -5 and +5. Okay, so let's just select this entire thing, copy it, apply, accept, and let's put it in there as well, but instead of say times 15, we'll change this to something like a lot slower, the frequency times 2. Now the other thing is, at the moment we need to change this from basically the default to set always, so that this is evaluated at every single frame, right? And one more thing I might add is a bit of drag. So let's just add a drag to this. Don't need this actually at the moment, and that's all fine. I'm just going to reduce my force a little bit, so it's a little bit less, something like 3, and then basically we can evaluate it. So there's my fan at the moment, and it's just gonna go and start blowing through. So okay, as such. Let's have a look. So these pieces are blown up, but the other geometry is still in there, so just gonna go up and let's have a look. Just in the smooth shaded. So if I just start playing this, it's simulating the cloth and it's just running through and basically blowing these pieces apart. Now obviously the fracture geometry is still visible, so I'm just gonna turn that off quickly. There. And you can already see they're breaking up as the geometry is sort of being run through the dynamic simulation. Now in order to sort of cache this, my personal preferred way of caching this, because it's just geometry, is just by rendering it out to disk. So I'm just gonna add a render output driver to this. So I can just say over there a ROP output driver, yep. And I could say over there to the hip file, maybe I'll create a new directory, something like, so there's my folder, something BGO. Let's go inside, create a new folder for that, and let's just call this cloth sim 01, or maybe A might be better. Accept this, go inside there, and let's name it with sort of name padding. So $F4 will basically give you name padding with 4 zeros or 3 zeros and a number or whatever, Okay, let's accept this, and then you can set your frame range, and you can just basically say from there to there, so something like 1 to 100 or something like that, and it'll just go and blow through. And then once you want to see it, just bring in a file sub, and the geometry that I want in this case is this one. So I'm just gonna do it for 10 frames, but you can do it for 100 frames to see the result. And I'm going to paste that path in there. So obviously at the moment it can't find it because it's not been rendered out. And then I can just say, just render this out. And this will probably go very fast since I just cached it already. Yep. And there we go. And the first 10 frames I can kind of start scrubbing, right? So, and that's the way you kind of will get your cloth effect. So very fast, very simple. Okay. In the next example I will probably use SOPs with extrusion and a distance-based point to sort of get that kind of fracturing going based upon a point or the distance towards a point.